What's up guys, Anders here with another video. Today we're going to go over my impressions of Lost Ark release in the West and offer you a beginner guide to get you started. Technically free to play Lost Ark launches today, but I went ahead and bought a founder pack to get a few days head start to see what the game is like. I've mostly avoided anything to do with Lost Ark in the past due to a Western release just not being likely, and playing on a Korean or Russian server for a game that may never come made very little sense to me. However, going in blind with this game has shown me just how confusing the experience can be for someone like me who has stayed away from Lost Ark and hasn't necessarily been waiting for the game to come out and keeping up to date on how it has evolved over the past 6 years. So my goal is simple. As I learn how this game works, I transfer what I've learned to you in the simplest and most coherent way possible. Now, thanks to Amazon, we now have a publisher for the West, but after my New World experience, there are still some concerns. Queue times were not too bad the first day. I managed to get in without much issue, though some friends had to re-authenticate the patch and servers were pretty much struggling with the amount of people trying to log in. The queue times and server stability is getting worse by the day, and the day before free-to-play launch, the queue was upwards of 20,000 on my particular server. That's hours of waiting, hoping you don't get disconnected. Luckily, they have restricted creation in already populated servers ahead of the free-to-play launch, but I think queue times will be something we deal with for a few weeks, no matter what server you end up playing on. Now, this particular issue does bring up a bit of a dilemma. If you wanted to play Lost Ark but chose not to buy into the head start with your friends who may have done so, then you're out of luck. You can't actually play with them right now at free-to-play launch. You'll have to wait for server transfers and then pay money you may otherwise not want it to. The workaround is that yes, you can make cross-realm party finders to still play endgame content with your friends, but I think the social experience of MMOs is just as important as being able to raid with your friends. Not being able to just hang out at the hub city with your friends because you didn't want to pay money early on kind of sucks. Right now, my situation is I'm waiting for my friends to catch up because the past 2 days, they've been stuck in queues for half the day, even though they paid for founder packs, and by the time they do get in, they need to go to sleep at a normal hour, and as much as they want to play, they just can't. That leaves me stuck going through endgame content with random players and wishing we could all just play together. That being also the main draw for a lot of people who wanted to do group content, especially those who are Black Desert veterans. We just want some group content to do. BDO is lacking in that, so many are looking to Lost Ark to see if we can get that and have some fun. Now, I should say I have played the alpha for Lost Ark and Western release, so I did get to level 50 there and I kind of knew my way around. In the alpha, I took time and went through the story, and I think it's above average compared to Black Desert, but a lot of the fantasy cliches are there, so don't expect anything revolutionary. However, it does have its moments, and I like that the game changes themes quite a bit as you progress. So if you like the steampunk aesthetic, there's a region like that for you, a whole story for that. If you like fairies and forest elves, there's something for you as well. If you like Asian aesthetic type games like Swords of Legends and Blade and Soul, there's a really cool main story in a region like that as well. The only time I felt like I wasn't having a good time going through the story was in the last zone, Shoeshire, after you get to the initial endgame hub. I felt like that zone, the pacing was off and it just felt like a chore at times, but overall I thought the story was fairly good. Before we continue, I should go over classes. There are a lot here, but here's the basics. Only tank class in the game is the Gun Lancer. So if you want to play a tank, you only have one choice. If you want to play a healer, there are only 2 healers in the game, the Bard and the Paladin, and the rest of the classes are all DPS. Now for endgame content, you're going to want to have 1 tank, 1 healer, and the rest DPS, and there is unfortunately a gender lock in this game, but that's very typical of Korean MMOs. That's not very surprising to me. Now, I'm not going to sit here and give you a rundown of what class is good because I haven't played them all at relevant content, but here is a generic tier list to give you an idea of where each class is at sort of the tier 3 gear. Now with this game, you can test every class before you even start the game, so find one that looks cool, feels cool, and go from there. I went personally with Artillerist. Why? Because this class is something that may never show up in Black Desert Online. Originally, I had planned to play Shadow Hunter because that class reminded me of Lon in BDO, but as much as I enjoy Black Desert, they don't really have a gunner class, and I thought, why not try something different? And no regrets, Artillerist is awesome. Sadly, I think I've seen maybe 3 other Artillerists in 30 hours of gameplay, but I do suggest you try it out if you like gunner classes. It's really fun. Now, once you have your class choice, you're going to be asked to do the prologue, and this is where you're going to have to ask yourself what kind of player you are. Are you the type that goes through the story of an MMO, or are you the type that skips the dialogue and just wants to get to endgame raiding and other fun stuff? If you are the former, go through the prologue. The stories are actually really unique to each base class and aren't bad at all. If you want to get to endgame, you can skip it and mash that G key or left click through all the dialogue you can. You can also escape most cutscenes unless they're major ones where you have to watch them at least once per account. Now, to level quickly, you'll want to avoid yellow quests for the most part. Stick to orange quests and purple quests. If you see a red quest, these are timed quests that happen sporadically as you play. Usually they are kill quests to go kill 8 demons, for example. Once you do that, you're done. They give a lot of XP, so absolutely worth doing. After you complete the first continent, you'll have blue quests which you can do, and you'll follow that as well instead of the orange quests. The story will want to send you to Tortoik, but you want to skip that region and instead go to Arthetine in the north. This is typically the last region before you hit 50, and then go on to North Vern, the initial endgame hub area. The reason we want to go to this region first is because the XP here is a lot greater than just having to go to Tortoik. So by the time you finish in this region and then you go to the next region, you'll hit 50 midway through the Annika storyline, and that allows you to then skip on to North Vern and start the storyline there. So once you hit the post 50 storyline, you can finish that and get your 302 gear much faster than if you were to follow the recommended story progression going to Tortoik. You basically only do about 55% of those quests to hit 50 instead of having to do, say, 95%. Now, each region has their own story unattached from other regions, so it actually doesn't matter which of these 3 regions you go to first. If you are just playing to experience the game, following the normal path is fine. It just takes a little longer to hit 50. Now, once you do hit 50, you'll be at the soft cap level and you can start doing endgame content. The max level right now is 60, but it takes a while to get there and it isn't really important for your progression right now. You'll go through the North Vern story and eventually get sent to Shoeshire. This region will grant you a 302 gear set that will get you started on your gear progression. All you need to do is complete the story. If you're playing casually, you can also get your 302 gear from just running Chaos Dungeons in the Vern Castle. If you have yet to unlock Chaos Dungeons, Awakening Skills, Guardian Raid, Abyssal Dungeons, all the endgame content available to you at level 50, it's okay, you're not alone. At 50, you're just bombarded with so many quests to unlock content that it can be a little bit confusing, so make sure to check your J key for your quests and complete the purple quests that say guide in the name. Usually that will tell you what they unlock or what their purpose is. One common problem even I ran into was Guardian Raid unlocking. It asks you to sign a document, but you don't see anything in your inventory. Your quest log may be full because of all those quests, so you don't see it unless you go to J and look at your quests. All you need to do for this quest is open your inventory and click on the quest items icon and right click the scroll to sign the document and hand in the quest to unlock Guardian Raids. Now, Guardian Raids are sort of Monster Hunter-esque content you can do with 3 other players. The group needs to track down the boss, defeat it. It will sometimes run away and you have to go through the map and track it down again. You have 20 minutes to do this and only 3 deaths allowed for the entire party. The normal potions you've been using throughout your playthrough that recover HP over time, they don't work in this content. Instead, you have to have a different type of potion called a percentage HP recovery potion that you can put on your hotbar, and even then you will be limited to how many you can use per life. So for me, I can use 5 of those potions, and if I die and take up one of the party deaths we have in this content, I come back and I can use another 5 HP potions. If everyone dies, you fail and can restart the raid if you wish. Twice a day, you can choose to consume the boss soul to get additional rewards from this piece of content, but you can run this even after that limit for smaller rewards if it's something you like to do. Abyssal Dungeons work much the same way in terms of the limits you have on you. You can only use a certain amount of percentage HP recovery potions, but this time, if you die, you cannot resurrect. It's a 4-person dungeon at the start and consists of 2 bosses with some smaller monsters in between the boss rooms. Now, these bosses are going to have mechanics you need to familiarize yourself with to be able to win. Some mechanics can be easy and obvious, and others will take some looking up or someone in the party to explain. This is honestly the first piece of content where working together here, and communicating is, I think, crucial to success. Use your words and communicate in chat, but don't worry, I will be going through the dungeons in small guides on the channel if you want a visual guide. After you finish the dungeon, you can choose to spend a little bit of gold for an extra loot chest to get some more items. It is absolutely worth doing. Abyssal Dungeons can only be completed once per week per character, and the gold loot chest can only be acquired up to 6 times per week. That means if you have 6 alts, you can do the same Abyssal Dungeon 6 times per week and still get the gold loot chest. Now, the third piece of content you can do right away at level 50 is Chaos Dungeons. They're probably the easiest endgame content to get into since it's mass killing of demons and some elites with 3 other people in your party. You can do this twice a day for added loot, but you can still do Chaos Dungeon for smaller rewards and drop as many times as you want. Usually you want to do the highest possible Chaos Dungeon you can for the best loot. There's no limitations whatsoever. You can use the normal potions, you can die as many times as you want. There are no mechanics, and the mobs are simply there for you to AoE down masses of demons as fast as possible. One thing to note is the tokens that drop here can be exchanged for enhancing materials and accessories in the nearby NPC. These have weekly exchange restrictions, so make sure you utilize them when you can. There are also timed events that are occurring throughout the day. Rifts will reward you with gold. Island events can reward you with materials for items and gold. Pretty much all you need to do is be on your ship and go to the next island or event that pops up, run them for 10 minutes, and then move on to the next one if you want to do that. Some of them are actually pretty unique, so worth checking out. That's all the PvE progression content available to you immediately upon hitting 50, so you can start working on that and using the materials to enhance your gear. Now, enhancing in this game is called honing. You go to the honing NPC in the Vern Castle location, so the endgame hub, and level up your gear there. It costs material and some silver. You want to take the blue gear you got from Chaos Dungeons and other content and enhance each piece to +2 to start. This will increase your item level tremendously. You then want to hit +4 for the next bracket, and then around +6 you may have dropped some purple gear. You can then transfer your enhanced blue gear, say +5 or +6 blue gear, to the purple one, so you can use a new set of purple gear without losing anything. Now, the reason you want to enhance all your gear in brackets is because you want to hit item level requirements for endgame content. Each one is locked behind your average item level, needing to be at least X amount to enter, so the higher level content that you can run, the better the rewards you can get every day. Enhancing or honing in this game is actually very simple. You talk to the honing NPC and select the gear you want to level up, use all the stones required, and then you click honing. You have 100% success until +7, where it drops down a little bit. They've made the earlier tiers a lot easier to enhance to help players catch up, so it's not too bad. Engravings and ability stones are something for a whole different video in of itself because of how confusing it may seem, but for now, don't worry too much about engravings. Just save those engraving boxes you're getting for when you fully understand what engravings are and what they do, and which ones you want to go for your particular class. Now, ability stones are a little bit harmless, and the game does a good job of showing you how they work, so you can use the ones you get, but if I were you, I'd sell most of them to see if you can make some gold in the auction house. There is very little reason to spend gold on items at this point in your progression when we're trying to get to tier 3. We're currently in tier 1. As soon as you hit 50, it's still a long way to get to tier 3. So saving as much as possible is the strategy, especially if you're free to play. Ability stones to look out for are the ones that have grudge and dull traits, as they are more commonly used for DPS. They sell very well. Now, daily and weekly quests are something that you will unlock that are self-explanatory. Dailies give you rewards every day up to 3 times per character. Doing this gets you additional tokens you can use for more materials. It is good to do them when you can, but in my opinion, don't stress too much about getting your dailies done on all your alts at the start. Just focus on just progressing your main character. Guilds we need to talk about very briefly, but they are important to the game. They open up a new avenue of PvP and PvE content for you, as well as giving you a new avenue for materials to improve your gear. So right now, my own guild is working towards leveling the guild to open up a material shop and then go from there. So I'm sure many guilds will be working towards similar goals to help their members. It will take some time in the beginning since you need to be level 50 to take guild quests as a member. Even as a new member sub level 50, you can start donating silver to start getting some tokens for when the eventual guild shop opens up for your guild. Now, lastly, before I leave you, I touched on it briefly, but alts, they are important. If you use them, you will progress faster than if you don't. You can choose to play alts of the same class or different ones with similar items needed, or any class you think looks cool if you just want to try them all out. You can use a power pass that is awarded to you for completing the North Vern story. This will boost your alt to 50, so that's a good way to save time. And that's pretty much it for this one, guys. I'll touch on PvP in a separate video, but this is the gist of what you need to know to get started in Lost Ark. I'm having fun with this game, so hopefully you will too, and I'll be working working on more guides to help you guys get through the early stages of the game. So if you have any questions or suggestions, let me know in the comments, and let me know what you guys think about today's video over on our community Discord. We're now public on Discord Discovery, so you can follow the link or search for Anders on Discord to join up and say hello. If you want to support the videos I make and small donations, you can follow the Ko-fi link below and buy me a cup of coffee. I love coffee as much as I love bells, so every coffee you buy me will be greatly appreciated and will of course come with some Discord perks like premium channels and voice chat and streams. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell icon to get notified when I upload my next video. Remember, bell is good. As always guys, thanks again for watching, thanks for listening. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.